defense of human rights. Malaki, thank you very much for coming on, as always.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Indeed.
Delighted to be here.
And we've got Dr. Kayode Esuola, who is a research associate professor of political behavior at the Institute of Africa and Diaspora Studies. A fine morning to you, Kayode. Good morning.
Good morning, Yori.
Okay,
Good morning,
then.
everybody.
Okay, then. The way the camera caught you, you seem to just be, you're tired of it all. But I'm sure it's not like that. It must have been a different kind of reflection.
Well, perhaps a mix of the two. You are tired, but you are not, because you just have to keep on.
Yeah. Let me start with you in as much as we have you. Mohammed Sanusi the second, 14th Emir of Kano, and any time from now, upon receiving the instrument of office, becoming also the 16th Emir of Kano. Now, there's a sense in which history is repeating itself here, because if you go back to the late 70s, early 80s, there was a situation that was not quite as not quite dissimilar to this. The only difference being that the emir then, Ado Bayero, was not removed, only suspended by the Babangida administration, I believe. So here we are. We've come back again 40 years later, and we have this situation in Kano. The same 5 local councils that were created then and ultimately cancelled have been created again by the immediate past governor here in this present time. And it would appear that all of this has sort of cancels all of that out. Does that strike you from the historical perspective, Kayode?
Well, it does. It does in the sense that it's a reminder of how the political class continues to intervene in our traditional institutions in Nigeria. When I say political class, I will include the military in the past, because even the soldier, Babangida, was occupying a political role as at that time. Before now, there were situations in which traditional offices were sacred, and they were of the grassroots, and they were taken as representative or true, authentic, if you like, autochthonous representative of the people.
Yes.
Today, we've seen from all over the country, not just Kano, in your states, particularly Ogbomosho, even your town, where you have the laughing, and several other parts of the country, where the political class are using executive power to determine who rules or who does not rule, or to revenge the removal of someone at a particular time. For me, I'm not a lawyer, but if the law permits the governor to do what he did, I will say legally it's in order, especially because the reasons given from the press statement made after that is that there was need for unity, which implies that before then, Kano was suffering from disunity. I wonder if that is in the news. And that in order to retain Kano as the historical and cultural headquarters of the North, again in the statement. So if these are reasons, and then the third reason is to foster socio-economic development. So if Kano was indeed suffering from all those, and in the judgment of the governor, he thinks replacing the emirs will solve the problem, so be it. You cannot scrape people's head behind them. However, what makes it look suspicious, as if it is politics of vengeance, is the fact that there is a seeming drama in the way the law operates. The law was passed by the parliament the same day, signed to law the same day, and then put into effect immediately the same day. I wish this is, this is how things work in this country.
Mm-hmm.
We have the minimum wage,
Indeed.
ASU agreement. Those have gone on for 16, 15 years. No head, no tail.
Yeah.
But where there is vested interest, the political class can formulate law the same day, implement law the same day, and make it look like a magic.
Indeed.
It tells you the
There is that
Nigerian
point.
political system is a class of vested interest.
Okay, let me come back to you, Kayode. Let me come back to
okay,
you.
Thank you.
Let me come back to you, Kayode. Thank you very much. Let me come back to you. Malaki, you are a constitutional lawyer, and if anybody is thinking about the laws, reference was made to it there. All of this is on the instrumentality of the law. It was that very instrumentality that allowed or enabled, maybe even empowered the former governor to remove the 14th emir, and it was for insubordination. It was for insubordination and interference in political affairs. Well, now the emir is back, but he's not going to be back as the 14th. He's now back as the 16th emir because Ado Bayero is the 15th until the very moment when the instrumentality of office is transferred. What does the law say about all of this? And bear in mind, please, that this goes back to Rimi's time. Governor Rimi of Kano.
So the law, they say, is an ass. But I'd like to thank Dr. Prof.
Yes.
Prof. for that background given, and then emphasizing the point that whether we like it or not, you could see the hand of the ruling class in all of this, albeit in a very convoluted manner. In my view, and this is with profound respect, and in deference to people who may have opposing view, but I think our traditional institution is now about caught by the intrigues of politics. Very effectively, that has largely happened to the judiciary. And I'm not just saying this. If you're listening and following people like Professor Odinkalo Chidi and a host of others who have become critical, you will attest to what I'm saying. But this is the point. Whether the law permits it or not, in such scenario, in such circumstances where it is now very clear that the traditional institutions in this country, particularly what we refer to the first-class traditional rulers, were the Emir of Kano, Oba of Benin, Owele of Onitsha, Oni of Ife, and so on and so forth belong. Part of what constitutes the grace and ambience and importance and influence of these institutions is the certainty of that office and almost a stool that is above board and reproach. But where you now can predict that if the pendulum swings politically, this man will go, then at that point, my statement that the traditional institution has now been caught by politics becomes not just valid, but verifiable. So I come to the point about what does the law say? Because that's your pointed question. The Kano State Emirate law, which is the law that the governor has now leveraged on after the amendment to act, is such that vests that power on the governor. But whereas that is so, can it really be explained away? Is it possible, as it stands now, that political meanings cannot be read into what has happened? considering that clearly, very clearly, Emir Lamido Sanusi
Yes.
fell out completely with the APC chairman, Ganduje, and we saw what the powers of the governor could be in that circumstance. All that needed to be done was to kickstart the process, activate the State House of Assembly. Then that emirate, the Kano emirate, was balkanized into 5.
Yes.
And thereby whittling down the influence of this and effectively removing him. And he was instantly dethroned.
In fact, he was banished.
And banished.
To Nasarawa somewhere.
Now, this is history repeating itself from yet another angle, because power has changed hands, the political calculations have also shifted, and the focus of power, the locus of power have moved, or has moved, where it is now in the interest of the present political class, as Doctor said, to have Sanusi back. Now, the same law that we talk about is what they have leveraged on to obtain an injunction, as at this morning.
Yeah.
Now, that injunction is an injunction given to an ex-parte application. So, you see why they say...
Thank you for reaching that place, Malaki, because I was going to ask you the effect of this injunction, which is ex-parte, which I think in layman's language, the other party doesn't really know about when this party went to court.
Yes, they were not put on notice.
They were not put on notice, and the judge has seen fit to grant it, is why it is being reported now as there is an injunction. Do all injunctions actually hold water?
Well, injunctions are very potent, equitable remedies in our law. And it's not peculiar to Nigerian jurisprudence. It is everywhere. What has become problematic in our case is that they have come under serious abuse in very discernible cases.
Yes.
However, as a method and recognized style of procedure in our jurisprudence, is very, very important. It serves to prevent the destruction of the subject matter of a case, what we call the res.
Yes.
And the conditions upon which you can leverage on that are known. But what has played out in so many occasions, particularly with respect to politically exposed cases, I think we're gradually moving into traditionally exposed cases now, is that they do what we call forum shopping. In other words, where would you easily get this kind of injunction? It is immaterial whether the cause of action did not arise from that particular jurisdiction of the court. That's one. The other is to, take advantage of the very nature of these applications, which are ex parte. In other words, you don't need to put the other party on notice. It is based on affidavit evidence. In other words, you come with all that you want the court to hear about that particular incident requiring some urgency. Mark you don't just come and say, give me injunction. It is predicated on a substantive suit. This time around, we understand it's a fundamental right enforcement procedure. It is a fundamental right action that was instituted and immediately followed with this ex parte application for injunction restraining the law enforcement agencies, as I understand it, from giving effect to that.
The law that to the law that is standing and that has been passed.
To the reappointment of Sanusi as the Emir of Kano.
Okay.
In other words,
even though there is a law that says
of course,
that it can be done.
No, the appointment was based on the law.
It was based on the law.
So the action taken is what they are now injuncting, pending the determination of the...
Exactly. Thank you very much. Now, let me take this back to Kayode, Dr. Isola. So what do you now make of this? Haven't had the benefit of this legal commentary?
Well, I give great thanks to
Malati Ogumadu
for that very deep legal analysis of the whole situation. There's a very delicate balancing between law and politics. In fact, when we idle as political scientists, we often say law is an instrument in the hands of politics. I mean, as you see, the law is there, but somebody will sit to implement it. And I don't know if Barrister will agree with me. The man who will implement the law can do a lot of things to cause damage or otherwise where political and vested interests are at stake. For me, what I foresee is that this is a gone case. The executive has a way of frustrating, and I'm choosing that word deliberately, frustrating legal processes if they want to, especially, again, I emphasize, where there are vested interests. So it is neither here nor there. For Yori, my take, which is generic, which I want to put forward to the current governor of Kano State, is that I admire the speed at which this issue was handled. He should extend the same to laws and policies that will reflect positively upon the citizens of Kano and by extension upon the citizens of Nigeria as a whole. Politics.
Indeed. Really, thank you, Kadi.
To point directly to what, you know, it took this country almost about 14 years, approximately 20 years, to deal with the PIA Act. It took us almost the same time to deal with the Freedom of Information Act, and so on and so forth. The point being that most of these people-driven, people-pro legislations take endless time, minimum wage, the same thing. But when it comes to sitting on the distribution agency, dispensing with the wealth, collective wealth of this country in a way that directly impacts on these political actors, we don't hear anything less than more than 24 hours, and it's done.
Yes.
So if it is possible to do it that way, it stands to reason that laws that affect the masses of this country can also benefit from that speed. And I guess that is exactly the point that Prof is making.
Yeah.
And I concur.
So it was somebody here who said that the lawyer, in fact, I think we'll put on the phones now, just in case. We need to have the phones just before we go on break so that maybe we can get commentary from among our viewership on this. As we are standing by waiting to see what is actually going to happen, we wait for the phones to come on so that you can call in. But as you can see, the scene is set. That is a Africa House. It's a hall within the government house in Kano. It seems set up for the governor to hand over the certificate, and therefore for the 14th Emir of Kano to transition into the 16th Emir of Kano because of what has been explained. We'll wait to see how all of that goes, because the commentary we've heard from the lawyer here, I'm sure there will be legal advisors up in the government house in Kano as well. So they themselves will know about all of this.
And sure, that will introduce another dimension to the whole thing. Because whether we like it or not, there is already a court order. A court order, as a court order, like judgments of court, is bound to be obeyed. That is section 287 of the Constitution. It is a constitutional provision. And whoever acts contrary to that becomes contemptuous of the law. So certainly it will introduce a different dimension to it in a way that throws up some other dynamics to the whole mix. In my view, they will have no option other than to go back to that court and explore the possibilities of either setting aside what has happened, appealing against it, or engaging frontally with a view to reversing what has happened, if it is in their interest to continue with the litigation.
So all of that remains to be seen if it can happen. In the meantime, Reverend Dominic in Alimosho has called in. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Chief Yori. Good morning, my friend, Mr. Malaki.
Dominic, good to hear from you. Good morning.
Yeah. Chief Yori and my friend in the studio and the professor, let me express my fears. My fears is that the way politicians are interfering to our traditional stew is become worrisome. Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two is this. Mr. Malaki know what I'm trying to say. We are driving to anarchy when politicians cannot obey court laws. They choose and pick the one they want to obey. That is near anarchy. Number three, my fear is the current Emir who is going to be sworn in today. The man is a great man of intelligence, a very intellectual man, an international man. If I were him, I would not go back to Kano. Mm-hmm. Why did I say that? It's possible, if you know Kano politics, that by next 3 years, APC will take over governance in Kano, which means it is possible for the same government, by 4 years coming, maybe if it's APC, can reverse it back again and dethrone him. How do we begin to toil with our traditional institutions? Anywhere in the world, that seat, a traditional institution or an Oba or Obi, or it's like a semi-god. We don't need to toy with it, but it has been bastardized in Kano. And it may take it, some places in other places in Nigeria. That is the worry. We politicians must find a way to stop interjecting or interfering to traditional stew. It's like Prime Minister of Britain trying to know what is happening in Buckingham Palace. It is mission impossible. So what I'm trying to say, what is happening in Kano today should not supposed to be Kano problem alone. It's Nigerian problem.
Okay.
And you will know we're very good in copying right or wrong in Nigeria. Politics in this traditional stew is quite demeaning. And I don't know how to describe it.
I think people understand. I think we understand.
I don't understand.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend, for calling in. Let me just quickly take a break in case there are comments that are coming from my guests. We'll take a break. We'll be right back to continue as we wait on to see the next move from Kano State.
The Honorable Minister, Federal Capital Territory, His Excellency Barrister Ezenwo Wike, CON, and the Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Maria Mahmoud, happily announced the commencement of commercial operations of the Abuja Rail Mass Transit System, rehabilitated under His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, and parts of activities marking his 1 year in office. Day, Wednesday, May 29, 2024. Venue, Abuja Metro Station. There would be free train rides in the first 2 months to cushion the cost of transportation in the FCT, in keeping with Mr. President's renewed hope agenda. Together, let us unveil a new public transportation experience that is safe, affordable, and convenient.
Okay, welcome back. And as I was saying, my guests remain Dr. Kayode Esuola. He's with us remotely. He's Research Associate Professor of Political Behavior at the Institute of African and Diaspora Affairs, and Malaki Ugumadu, constitutional lawyer, former president, Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. The pictures we've been showing you, the live pictures we were showing you, were of, the interior of a place called Africa House within the government house in Kano State. They're all waiting, and we are waiting to record whatever happens. But it is all about the reinstatement of the 14th Emir, who was deposed, has now been returned by law. But as has been pointed out, and we've got commentary on that from our guest, who is a constitutional lawyer, it's out there the news has been out there in the past 3 hours that a federal high court in Kano has ordered the state government not to enforce the Emirate Council repeal law of 2024. The Kano State, as we've been saying, the Kano State House of Assembly passed the amended bill on Thursday, May 23rd, and hours later, it was signed into law by Abba Yusuf, governor of Kano State. So we're all waiting now to see what's going to happen next. Our lawyer has explained to us that, well, even he's explained in brief what an injunction is, and that you don't really ignore them with levity. You don't ignore them, but there are a number of ways to be able to surmount that obstruction if it is seen as an obstruction. Whether the authorities in Kano, I think the onus is now upon them to see whether they, I like some of the quaint expressions you lawyers can use from time to time. So see whether they so can do.
Of course.
But it's
even lies are better told in English. So I guess what you're trying to navigate is what are these? Look, like I said, it certainly will throw up fresh dimensions to this whole issue. The people.
Sorry, before you continue, so that we don't miss anything, there's some. Let's just get a bit of sound from Kano State to see the context of what's going on as we wait.
Cikin shekarar nan babban aikin ka dawo da Kano yadda take yadda kwanka sai kuma alhamdulillahi yanzu ka dawo da gwamnati da jihar Kano gaba ɗaya a kan yadda kwanka sai kuma kullum na faɗa ubangiji yana cewa wa qulu inna fasarallahu amalakum wa rasuluhu wal mu'minin kuma ka aiki tsakaninka da Allah kuma mun sani ba don kayi ne don ka takura wa ne amma saboda desire ka na kai daidai cikin ikon Allah ina muku barka da zuwa Allah ubangiji ya sa a yi a gama wannan biki lafiya kuma ubangiji Allah ya sa ya hau yadda abba yake zama daren daren shi ma mai martaba shi ma Allah ya zama daren daren. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah, jawabi da muka saurara na maraba daga bakin shugaban ma'aikatan fadar gwamnatin Kano. Your Excellency, as I said earlier, history will forever remember you for this remarkable milestone for restoring the heritage and the history of Kano State in terms of the status of our emirate. I want to use this opportunity to appraise His Excellency and members of his cabinet for a job well done, and to also appreciate the good gesture from Kano State House of Assembly. Your Excellency, mun taho gargara inda daidai wannan gaba za a kafa tarihi. Jiya kimanin karfe 5 daidai ranar 23 ga watan Mayu na shekara ta 2024. Mai girma gwamna ya rattaba hannu a kan sabuwar dokar dawo da martabar masarautar jihar Kano, wanda tun daga wani lokaci ya kuma sanar da ƙara naɗa mai martaba sarkin Kano na 14 a matsayin sarkin Kano na 16 Alhaji Muhammadu Sanusi, Muhammadu dan Muhammadu jikan Muhammadu mai takama da Muhammadu Rasulullah.
Well, so there we have it. The much as we can, our caption was saying there, Sanusi the second is reinstated as Emir of Kano. You can see it right there. He is there. Well, that was said even before this morning, before we began all this matter of other aspects to be considered. But he has been reinstated. He's there. And this is the situation that we have. There was a lot that went on. No doubt that will be translated as we go on. There is the matter, I think, as soon as we get a visual of him handing over a certificate of some sort to him, but our reporters there have given rise to the caption that you are seeing, that Sanusi II is stated as Emir of Kano. And so, there he goes. He's a man who has transitioned from the 14th Emir of Kano, and you can see the palace officials there, jubilant, into the 16th Emir of Kano. And if you're not Nigerian and you're watching this, if you're wondering what happened to the 15th Emir, well, the 15th Emir, his grand uncle, has, along with 4 other emirs that were created, have been given 48 hours within which to sort out their affairs. So it's an interesting situation that we have here. The commentaries that are going on, there are those who are concerned that they hope it doesn't cause tension. Yeah. But I don't know what the much that can be made. Okay, what we're seeing there is that these seem like court officials. When I say court officials, the traditional palace court officials. But yes, the governor is there, so it's a traditional aspect. It seems that the needful has been done as far as Kano State is concerned, for the people of Kano to now understand that they have the 16th Emir of Kano in their midst. He used to be the 14th, now he's the 16th. And it's quite clear from all of that. Whoa. So I don't know if one can use the expression fait accompli or not.
Oh, well, largely you could say that. And very clearly the fact that he's there.
He's there
live, puts paid to any speculation whether it will happen.
Whether it will happen or not.
However, speaking as a lawyer now, I'm aware that the matter is in court, so I'm going to be very circumspect to refrain from details.
Exactly.
However, I had made the preliminary point that an injunction has been obtained. An injunction,
that much has been reported in the press.
Yes. An injunction is in the category of an order of court. It enjoys the same effect like judgment. And by the constitutional provision, I referenced section 287, it is to be obeyed pending its expiration or reversal. Now, you could see that history is repeating itself.
Indeed.
When Alhaji Sanusi was deposed in 2020, he took the same enlightened approach. He went to the court and also sought to enforce his fundamental human rights. In his own case, the judgment was in his favor, declaring what happened, the detriment, banishment, and exile as,
so when you say was in his favor, in the governor's favor?
No, in Sanusi's favor. In other words, Sanusi obtained the judgment of the court describing what happened to him, particularly regarding the banishment to Niger State, as a violation of his fundamental... Yes, Nasarawa or Niger. So I'm saying that history has repeated itself. In short, perhaps they borrowed from his experience or what he did. That reminds me of the last article I just did, where I was describing Wike as the best template for Fubara's action.
I understand the governor is about to say something. Yeah. Let's hope he says it in English. Let's go over there again.
Thank you. the son of Malam Bashari, the son of Galadima Kano Yusufu, the son of Abdullah Mazikarabi, the son of Sultan Kano Dabo. Your Excellency, Amin Abu Hussein Nabada. Your Excellency, Allah is in the future. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على النبي الكريم. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, Comrade Emir Abdul Salam Gorzo, who also serves as the Honorable Commissioner in charge of local government and chieftaincy affairs, Kano State. Right Honorable Speaker, Kano State House of Assembly, and Haji Ismail Palabora, and of course, our able honorable members of the State Assembly here present, members of the National Assembly here present, the Chief of Staff, Secretary to the State Government, Head of Service, Honorable Commissioners, Special Advisors and Heads of Extra Ministerial Agencies here present, Your Highness, our Reverend Father, our respected Father, the Emir of the people, Your Highness, Haji Sanusi, and Sanusi Lamido II, members of the Kano State Emirate Council, of course, our respected kingmakers here present, district heads, heads of security agencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. As I stand before you today, the 24th of May, 2024, which is equivalent to the 16th of Zulhijjah, 1445 after the Hijrah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I feel highly delighted. I feel happy. And we give glory to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for sparing our lives to see to the history of today's event. Today, as I stand before you, I'm going to present a letter of reinstatement to the Emir of Kano, Alhaji Sanusi Lamido Aminu Sanusi. Yesterday, we all gathered here at the government house. We had series of meetings with the kingmakers. We had extensive discussions with the Speaker and of course the House leaders. We also had time to sit with all the heads of the security agencies in the state. At the end of the day, we all sat down at the chamber where I received the bill that repeals the former law. And we signed a new law repealing all the appointments of the former emirs, as well as all the district heads and other appointments done by the previous administration. We did that out of our conviction and belief that this gentleman was victimized in 2019. We all had a feeling that we have to bring back what is due to the good people of the state. And by that, alhamdulillah, we are giving glory to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the MC has said, the bill was signed into law around 5:30. There was no any problem. Once a bill is signed into law, it has become a law, and nobody can change it. Let me seize this opportunity to most humbly thank Mr. Speaker, as well as all the honorable members, for your doggedness, for your commitment, for your respect for the rule of law. What you did in the last few days is a testament of your interest for the welfare of the good people of the state. I don't want to say much because we have said all that we were supposed to say yesterday. I will continue to talk. So let me, at this material time, congratulate our Emir, His Royal Highness Sanusi Lamido Aminu Sanusi, COM, popularly known as Muhammad Sanusi II. Let me say that by the powers conferred on me by the Kano State Emirate Council Chiefs, meaning Appointment and Disposition Law of 1984, and in consonance with the Kano Emirate Council's Referral Law 2024, and supported by the recommendations of the Kano Emirate Council kingmakers who are here with us, I, Governor Abachi Yusuf of Kano State, have the singular pleasure to confirm the appointment of Sanusi Lamido Aminu Sanusi as the Emir of Kano and the head of Kano, Emir Kano. Your Highness, on behalf of the good people of the state, we humbly congratulate you. Let me say that your reappointment to the coveted throne of Malam Ibrahim Dabo was guided by our collective and careful judgment about your competence, credibility, proven intellect, and your popularity, not only in Kano State or Nigeria, but across the world. We are optimistic that you will, by the grace of Allah, at this tiring period of the Emirate, deploy your wealth of experience, intellect, and reach to provide the required visionary and purposeful leadership required to reunite and rebuild this very respected and revered institution. As you ascend to the throne of Kano Emirate Council for the second time, the scope and the horizon of expectations has broadened, and it is therefore our prayer that in your new...
Okay then, welcome back to the studio. So the story continues. It has virtually told itself. We had the benefit of commentary from, eminent commentators, Dr. Kaode Esuola and Mr. Malaki Ugumadu. And but we're going to have to leave it there now. The story continues to tell itself, and there'll be much more of it, which you can catch on TVC as we go on with the broadcast. But that's our program today on TVC. Thank you both, gentlemen. That's our program today on TVC. Please join us on Monday for a fresh edition. Kaode, thank you very much. Please join us, on Monday for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folani. Do have a great weekend. Bye-bye for now.
There was a shutdown. But this time it's going to be a night to remember. Lagos, are you ready? It's Ogbuefi live in Lagos from Onitsha to Lagos. Featuring AY, Clint the Drunk, Nedu Wazobia, Senator, Funny Bone, MC Danfo, Edo Pikin, Kaboko, Sa One on One, Albino Brothers, and lots more. Musical performances by Ayi Dons, Onyeze, Spackle and many others. Venue, Eco Hotels and Suites, Lagos. Date is Sunday, 26th May 2024. Show starts by 7 p.m. Tickets, regular 5,000 Naira. VIP, 25,000 Naira. Gold table, 2 million Naira. Premium table, 3 million Naira. Tickets are available at all urban supermarkets or visit ariatickets.com. For table reservations, please call 0703-309-9740. Supported by Taka Group, Vera Angela Solution, Vintage, Volaroo Champagne, Wayne Homes, ICA Properties, Cubana Group, Demaco Wine, Viper Engine Oil, and Agu.ng. This event is powered by Talk Empire and Amana Agu. Packaged by Landry Mako Event. Media partners, TVC.
The following is a paid presentation.